Hi guys, it's Melissa from Nature's Garden. Today we are going to make a spiced pumpkin latte candle using our brand new fragrance oil, Spiced Pumpkin Latte. Let's whip it up! Okay, so today we are using our brand new Spiced Pumpkin Latte, and I just have to tell you a little something about this fragrance oil. Not only does it smell like the real thing, when we add fragrance oils to our line, of course we do a lot of testing, and the second that I smelled this fragrance oil, I literally said, this is the best fragrance oil I have ever smelled in my life. So you definitely want to get your hands on this scent and maybe make a Spiced Pumpkin Latte candle. Let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing that we are going to do, we are using a mug today, and of course you want to put your wick in and prep your jar. The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to start with the base of the candle. So we are going to melt 180 grams of joy wax. Now, if you haven't worked with joy wax before, you're going to melt it to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, drop the temperature to 170, 175 right in there, and you're going to add your fragrance oil. Once you add your fragrance oil, you're going to pour at 160, 165. Now, of course, when you're adding your color, you do want to add it at that hottest temperature. So let's go ahead and get started. And we are just adding the joy wax right to our pouring pot, and then we're going to place it on a double boiler to melt. All right, so now that we've melted our joy wax to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, we're gonna go ahead and add the color. We're using two of our nature-friendly colorants. The first one that we are using is the liquid ivory. So we're gonna add 3 drops. And then we wanna add just a little bit of the brown, so we're going to add use a toothpick to add just a tiny, tiny amount of brown. So we'll just dip our toothpick right into our dye here, and then we'll dip the toothpick into our wax. Now we're just gonna stir, and then we'll let the temperature drop to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so now we are going to add our Spiced Pumpkin Latte fragrance oil, and we are using 18 grams of the fragrance oil. All right, now we're just going to let the temperature drop to 160, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to pour it into our container. Okay, so now we are ready to pour our wax into our container, and we're going to pour it about to here, and then we're going to leave maybe about an ounce or two so that when we create our candle here, you'll notice there's kind of a jump line here. And what we did was held back about an ounce or two. And when we piped our joy wax on top, it kind of created a true, authentic latte look because it has that variation of the white and the latte color. So. And now we're just going to center our wick and let this set up a little bit. Okay, and while we're waiting for our candle to set up, we're going to go ahead and prepare a couple other elements of the candle. We're going to prepare our cinnamon sticks, or stick, I should say, and then we're going to prepare the portion that we shredded on top. So we are going to start here with the beeswax. And in our pouring pot, we're going to add 20 grams of beeswax. The beeswax portion is going to be used we're going to roll it and create a very, very small cinnamon stick. So we'll go ahead and put this on our double boiler and let it melt. Next, we're going to be working with the Pillar of Bliss. We're going to go ahead and get that melted as well so that it has time to set up. Once again, we're using 20 grams of the Pillar of Bliss. And we are going to go ahead and place this one right on a double boiler and let this one melt as well. Okay, so our Pillar of Bliss is actually ready to go ahead and get poured. So if you haven't worked with the Pillar of Bliss before, you're going to want to melt it to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, or 195 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sorry. And then you're going to drop the temperature to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Add your fragrance at that point, and then you'll pour around 175 Fahrenheit. In this case, because we're doing such a small amount, we're not going to add the fragrance to it. We're just going to add color, so you still want to get it to the 180 Fahrenheit, or 195 Fahrenheit. All right. So to get this cinnamon color, this is going to be for the shredded portion of our candle. So to get this color, we are using the Cinnamon Nature Friendly liquid candle dye, and we're just going to add a couple drops. We're literally going to use a cheese grater to shred this. So what we're going to do is just pour it into one of our mini muffin molds and then let it set up, and it'll give us a nice chunk to shred. So. All right, now we'll just let it set up, and once I pop it out, I'll be able to show it to you. All right, so now that our beeswax is melted, we're going to go ahead and add the Cinnamon Nature Friendly candle dye. All right, and I have a pan that is lined with a silicone baking mat, and I'm going to go ahead and pour it right onto this pan. You want to pour it in as thin of a layer as you possibly can. All right, now we're just going to let the beeswax set up. Just a few tricks when you're working with the beeswax. You want to pour it in as thin a layer as you possibly can. As I said, you'll notice I kind of tilted the pan. I just wanted an area that would be very thin. So I wanted to get as little as possible. That makes it a little more flexible when you go to roll it. So we'll just wait for it to set up. And then what we'll do is we'll cut it into a proper size for what we are looking for. And then we'll get it rolled. All right, so I'm just using a toothpick to cut a rectangular shape. And you just need it to be a few inches because we're just going to stick it right into that wax, so it doesn't need to be that long. And now we're just going to roll it just like you would see a cinnamon stick. And now we'll just set it aside for now and we will come back to it. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup and we'll come back and start working on the whipped. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to prepare the whipped portion of our candle. Now you'll notice on the candle here, we have piped it. So we're going to go ahead and get our joy wax. We're using the joy wax. We're going to melt our joy wax, once again, 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to go ahead and put it on a double boiler to do that. Okay, so we have melted our candle wax. We are going to go ahead and add the fragrance oil. In this case, we're going to be whipping the wax. So once I add my fragrance oil, I'm going to put it into a separate bowl so that it cools a little bit quicker for us. I'm adding 30 grams of the fragrance oil. Now we're just going to let it cool a little bit before we begin whipping it. Ultimately, we're looking for kind of a whipped frosting consistency, so it'll be kind of like a whipped buttercream frosting, if you will. Okay, so we are about ready to start mixing. What I have here is the portion of the latte colored wax that I set aside earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the double boiler and let it remelt. And now we're just going to use a regular old hand mixer just to whip this to that whipped frosting consistency. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and fill our decorating bag. And I just have a star tip right on the bag. We're gonna go ahead and get it filled, and then we'll start piping the top. pause for a second just so you can see why we poured it the way that we did. You'll notice that this white is going to sink in to the latte colored portion of the candle, and we just thought it gave it a more realistic look. Alright, and then just one more thing to do. We're going to go ahead and come back to the embeds that we prepared earlier. So of course we have the cinnamon stick. We'll put that in last. We're going to go ahead and use a cheese grater just to shred a little bit of the cinnamon color that we created earlier. And I did decide to make this a little bit darker this time around just because I wanted it to pop a little more compared to the original version that I made. So that's why you'll notice it's a little bit darker. But the last thing to do is simply add our cinnamon stick. And there you have it. Making your own spiced pumpkin latte candle is really that simple. For even more fragrance fun ideas, make sure you check out our website at www.naturesgardencandles.com. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you like the video. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye, guys!